or comment section where you're watching, and tell us where you're watching from. Say hi, make sure everything is checked to everyone. I want to see where people are watching from. That is also the great location to where you want to leave your comments at if you have questions. So make sure you leave any questions you're doing or you have while we're doing this lesson. We want to make sure that they get answered. So to start this off, for those that do follow us, you already know what my first lesson is, but the first lesson I have for all of you is how to properly pronounce Siser. So the S-I-S-E-R is, say it with me, Siser. All right, congratulations. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, so Anna, what are we doing today?
We are making a Thanksgiving place setting.
A place setting. Okay.
Place setting.
So again, Thanksgiving themed, as you can tell. We're going to be decorating some cardstock with various Siser HTV. So we're going to be heat applying onto cardstock, which is a game changer. I did a class about decorating custom holiday cards,
Yes.
which did go over quite well, and I'll show them later in the class. But what are we working with material-wise for this part?
Today, we're going to use all the glitz and glam and gold that we have. So Michael's has our EasyWeed gold for the front of the menu that we're going to be making. And then we've got some gold confetti too, which I love.
So this is what we're creating, our own custom dinner menu for Thanksgiving for this one. So we did go extra on this, and Trev, we could switch the other camera so people can see what we have cut, because I really do want to showcase the detail that we cut with the EasyWeed we're using here. So all that fine print, I hope you guys can see it. I know there's probably a little glare, but that's all very, very tiny detail just to show you the capacity you can get with the EasyWeed. You cut this all on the silhouette as well.
Yes, I did.
So we're going to be heat applying this. This is already cut and weeded. So I want you to make sure you know that this is heat transfer vinyl and not decal vinyl. So we already have this cut. It's already weeded.
Is the heat press on? The
heat press is on. So I am using the Siser Craft heat press right now. The one thing I am set to the temperature that we would be at with EasyWeed. Now, the one area you do have wiggle room is the fact that you're going on cardstock. So you don't necessarily need it as high up as we have it here. I just naturally go to what is set on the tech sheet. But if you want to go a little bit lower, that's okay, because this is cardstock. The reason why we have the settings we have recommended is for things that are going to be washed with our heat transfer vinyl. So if you want to go a little bit lower, that's up to you. First thing I'm going to do, now we have our cardstock. This is the same exact cardstock cut in different dimensions. So what we're going to do is actually get this to go on top of one another and have a front and back. It's hard to tell on camera, but there is two different finishes to this cardstock. So one side has a matte finish and the other side has more of a glossy finish. What kind of cardstock is this?
80-pound Recollections. So that can be found at Michael's, obviously.
So this cardstock, again, it's up to what you're using, but how this was designed, again, has two different sizes. So the foreground, I'm going to be pressing on the matte side of the cardstock. So the first thing I'm going to do, I still want to check my pressure and make sure my pressure is good. So what I'm going to do is lay my cardstock, use a cover sheet, and I'm going to see if my pressure is good. I can tell my pressure is a little bit higher than I need for cardstock, so I'm going to dial it back just a little bit. I should be good right there. Again, make sure you test it. Test this. This is incredibly experimental for the heat transfer vinyl, but again, we want it to pop, add dimension. People at your party are going to really love it, I promise you. And this is a fun project you could do with the whole family. Get prepped now. Is that about right on the placement, you think?
I'd scoot it up just a smidge.
Just a smidge. That's right, because we have to remember we are adding a little bit of a outline with the glitter on this. Should be good.
Looks good.
All right. So again, this is heat transfer vinyl. on cardstock. I don't need to press it for the full 10 to 15 seconds. I'm really probably going to tack this for 1 to 2 seconds. 1, 2. With EasyWeed, you can peel hot. It's going on a cardstock. Feel free to kind of feel it out. But as you saw, that came off very easily.
Super easy.
All right. So this is the first step. We have our front of our menu already done. Again, it was cut, weeded, heat applied. Now, the way we're gonna actually put these together, the front and this background, is with a piece of glitter heat transfer vinyl. And the way we cut this is just to have a little bit of an outline, kind of mirror the two together. So what I'm gonna do is weed out, well, I happen to weed the extra part you're not supposed to. All right.
There we go.
So there's an inside section, and this is where I know I'm gonna get some judgment on it. This is technically a cavity. So normally when you weed, you throw out your cavities. We are not condoning throwing out any big piece of heat transfer vinyl. We are going to use this for another project. So I'm going to set this aside, and Anna is going to set that up later on for something else. So we'll wrap up the rest of this part. I do have a little bit of an outline that I'm going to peel off. This is obviously going to be trash unless you find a way to utilize that.
We could find something to do with that,
You could utilize that, really. But I will just set it aside. Don't have any broken hearts for this one, please. Okay, so the quick part of this project, again, I have the fronts already done. Now the back. What we want to do is set this up to where it actually lines the two up and actually kind of glues it together, essentially.
Avoid glue sticking or any other
Yeah.
adhesive.
And then, of course, obviously with the glitter, if you've ever used the Siser glitter heat transfer vinyl, it does have the rough surface, so it adds that pop in dimension to your design overall. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to actually line it up this way.
Yeah, I think that's what I did the first time I did it. There you go.
So I'm going to set that up on the carrier sheet and let that sticky carrier kind of hold it in place. And then I can find my placement from there. So the important part is that you give yourself a little extra margin with the glitter portion. So again, it's important that you have enough that's going over the front piece and that background piece, because you want it to be glued together. So for this cover sheet, and I'm going to press this for about 2 seconds.
How'd it do?
I'm going to press for a couple more seconds. And there we go.
There we go.
Perfect.
2 pieces of paper stuck together.
2 pieces of paper stuck together. Can we see that? Oh, I know this is lighting and everything. All right,
there we go.
There we go. So you can really see the glitter pop on the outside. Again, that was the part that married the front to the back. It is hard to see on camera, but this back piece was the glossy piece, so it also helps it pop. And then this was all the gold EasyWeed on it. So this is just the menu.
Just the menu.
Beautiful work, yeah?
Step 1.
Okay, any questions on that process? Anything coming through? Do we need to answer any questions? Facebook, please be sure to leave those questions, comments as we're going on. All right, so what do we have next?
I think we have some name tags that we're going to
do some name tags.
All right.
Okay, so speaking of scraps, we're going to be cutting some name tags to go with another project we're going to do after this.
Great question before we continue on.
Sure.
Krista asks, how do you get the 2 pieces of paper to stick together?
So that was what I did with the glitter piece of the heat transfer vinyl. So the glitter layer that I laid on the last application is what is actually sticking the 2 pieces of paper together. So if you didn't get to see that, of course, you can go back and check out the replay. But that is the adhesive of the backing of the glitter HTV is what is bonding the 2 pieces of paper together. Great question, though.
That is a good question.
Okay, so we are going to go on to doing some name tags for a project. We're going to be actually using Siser metal heat transfer vinyl.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned earlier about saving your scraps, these are also scrap pieces of the metal HTV. So when you get your roll at Michael's, you're going to have much more. But if you cut down to little pieces like this is to show what you can utilize for future projects. So hang on to your scrap pieces. So we're actually going to cut these, right?
Yes, we
All
are.
right. So we're going to set this up.
Yeah, popping over here, Trev, if you can. I'm going to put these scraps right on our silhouette mat, and the foil side that you want to be face up is going to go down on your mat. These little scraps, and I've set it up on my silhouette studio here so you can see on the mat like where exactly they're going to be cut. So I'm going to make sure my vinyl matches up to that same spot. And then I'm going to roll that right on in here. We're using a Cameo Plus, so this is a Cameo 4, but 15-inch, so a little bit bigger. So then I'm going to pop over to send. And I looked up our recommended sendings on CaesarNorthAmerica.com. We also have, or CaesarNA.com, sorry. And we also have an app that'll tell you all these settings. So right now I'm on Heat Transfer Smooth. I bumped it up to Blade 3. The force, since I've used this blade quite a bit this week on various materials, I bumped it up to a 10. So we're gonna hit send. And it's gonna be a little loud, but that's okay.
So the importance of test cutting, we can't stress enough that test cutting between the products we're talking about so far, so between EasyWeed to glitter to holographic, each one is going to need a different setup that is very important so that you're not wasting any material when you do your cutting. So as Anna mentioned, you can always refer to the app that we have that's free on your phone or tablet. Just look up Siser HTV, and we do have recommended cut settings for all sorts of different vinyl cutters.
I use it all the time still.
So another thing to remember, we are working with heat transfer vinyl, so when you send your cut over, you want to make sure it's mirrored. So we're cutting these in reverse.
All right.
All right.
Here we go.
I see my name. All right. You challenge it with some script font, which is always a fun one to cut.
Oh yeah, especially on metal. But honestly, this should weed pretty nicely. And I did do test cuts before we started.
Yep.
Just to make sure on the metal. And the metal's kind of looks like foil almost.
It does. Metal, the heat transfer vinyl is very deceiving because it feels like it's a thicker product than it is. And the reason is actually the carrier sheet. So the carrier sheet on the metal is actually a lot, it's more rigid than what the product actually is.
Right. There we are.
All right. So we have our name tags. Do you want blue or orange?
Orange.
Orange.
All
right.
And these also, I cut out the pieces of paper on the silhouette as well.
So you created out of cardstock, you created these name tags. Okay. So I'm not changing my temperature at all either. I'm keeping it where I was for the last project. These appear to have the same type of side, right? It's not one is matte.
No, I
one's
think those are
glossy,
about the
right?
same. Yeah. Double-sided. So many different options.
So many options. All right, so this is the metal HTV. I'm going to press this for a couple seconds. Typically with when it goes onto garments, the metal is actually a cold peel. But do we get away with the hot peel? Nope. So you got to wait till it's cold. So again, this is entirely experimental, so you might have to just test it out first.
And this cools down way quicker than
Way
you use it on HTV on a garment. And it looks pretty
Name
awesome.
tag is perfect, ready to go.
Look how shiny it is.
So metal has a nice finish. It is different than the EasyWeed that I used on the menu here. This is just a standard gold. It has a different finish, but the metal does have that flashy metallic finish to it.
And they all go very nicely together, all the golds.
Speaking of gold, is that what's next?
This is next.
Okay.
All right.
So again, going back to save your scraps, now we're going to use the giant cavity that we would normally discard, or you will when you're weeding it, I guess. But in this case, this is a way to show how you can also use it without it having a carrier sheet as well.
Yep. So carrier's off. So instead of normally with the carrier, you'd be putting this glitter side down. But I'm going to leave it right side up this time and pop it right over here onto our mat. So this is a pretty much brand new silhouette mat. So I'm having pretty much no issue having it stick. If it's a little more used, you can always pop some tape up here. You just want to make sure it's not going over your pinch rollers, just to make sure this sticks onto your mat. So I'm going to pop over here. And I have a little pumpkin design that we're going to be using on our napkins. So same deal. I looked up the recommended settings. They're a little bit more than what I use for the metal. So we're at blade 4, heat transfer glitter, and whatever came up here initially with silhouettes presets, I ended up knocking the force down a little bit because it didn't need quite that much. And of course, did a test cut on this right before we started. So we are all set to go for this class. I'm gonna pop my mat into there and hit send. And this time too, you can mirror if you want your design to be a certain way, just depending, but you do not have to mirror since we don't have a carrier sheet. We're cutting this right side up as if you'd be cutting PSV. Yeah. Right.
So again, this is also right after what I said with heat transfer vinyl. If it's on the carrier, you lay it down the correct way. Remember to mirror it. This being off the carrier and with the side, the finished side facing up, we don't need to mirror it. We're actually going to send it as is.
This is the one time where if you forget to mirror, you're okay.
You're okay. And I guess it depends on the shape. In this case, we're doing a pumpkin. So the only thing that really kind of affects is which way do you want the stem to
go.
face.
Right, exactly.
But if it was a name, if we cut our names like that, it would come off backwards.
Right. Yep. So I'm going to peel this off on the outside. And we could, again, I could have cut more.
There's still more that could be
I
used out of that
could
piece.
use some more, and I'm gonna actually save that to do another napkin later on. So I'm actually going to peel away. I picked this design to leave this outer shape, and it's going to leave some cavities, which I found out I could also use if I felt so inclined and didn't want to waste a single piece of HTV. Some of those came up. So it's a little bit flimsy because it doesn't have the carrier on anymore. I'm gonna pull out some of these little cavities, but then we should be all set to put this on our napkin. So we got glitter confetti all over the place.
So there's two different ways you can do it. Again, like Anna said, now she has another design that can be utilized from that pumpkin here. It's a little bit more of a step for this part because you're going to have to now peel it off of the backing of your mat, lay it down, and then find a placement and get a carrier. We use this because this came off with one solid piece. It looks sharp. It follows the theme of what we did with the menu, just kind of using it as the edge. And now we're actually going to decorate a napkin with it. So Anna is a professional napkin folder. Look at how pristine that is. I couldn't do it if my life depended on it.
Yes, you could.
But I have to unfortunately destroy the folding so that she can show you how to do it. But how I'm going to do this to find the placement is you could fold it first like what we did here, find your placement where you want it on the napkin. You could press it like this, but you want to still be sure that you have an even press. So if you don't have a heat press and you're using a home iron, you still want to make sure you avoid any of the uneven areas, which are the folds and any of the seams, because this is a case where it's a napkin, you will be washing it. So you do want your heat transfer to be properly applied onto it. So what I'm gonna do, and I'm sorry, Anna, I am gonna unfold it.
That's okay. I will
People want to see
refold.
how you fold it.
I will.
So I'm just placing the one solid piece in the area I want to apply it on. I'm gonna pull the fold. I know that this is the part of the napkin that is going to be on the outside of my fold. So I'm just gonna find the area that I want to apply it onto, which is about here, but it's very important. I went from cardstock, now I have a napkin. I need to adjust my pressure first. So these seams will cause uneven pressure. So you still want to make sure you're at a good medium to firm pressure. So I'm going to dial the pressure a little bit more. And now I'm at more of a firm pressure.
And it's wrinkle free now.
And now, yeah, well, you first want to do the pre-press, which is going to take out your wrinkles and moisture. Flat surface, I'm confident with this. I'm going to use a cover sheet. You can use parchment paper or whatever you have lying around. And I'm going to press this now for the full 10 seconds. Before I was tacking it for a couple seconds on things that aren't going to be washed, but we're going to probably wash this napkin. So I want to make sure it's properly on there. All right, that looks good on my
There
part.
we go. And no peel of the carrier.
No peel of the carrier. Don't have to worry about that. Now it's all going to be on the fold.
All right. So we're going to fold this. And actually, if you want to grab,
Oh, that's a good point.
if there's any carrier left,
All right.
make
So
sure.
talk about saving your scraps. I even saved the carrier from the glitter of this. What Anna did on this table as she's folding is laid out the other part of the pumpkin that she cut. But what we want to do is try to pick this up all in one piece. So I'm actually taking the sticky carrier of the glitter that I was going to discard, and I'm going to lay it over this pumpkin as one carrier sheet. So if you have a squeegee or something, or you can use your hand to try to get a bond to it, you can get it to lift off all at once.
Oh, you got it.
So
Right.
now we have an entirely new addition to whatever we want to press this onto. So again, you can use that carrier sheet for smaller pieces like this. I wouldn't recommend doing a larger image, but something like this.
Something pretty simple.
We'll set that over there.
Right. All right. So for the napkin, I made sure, so all I did was fold it into quarters. We've got our design right here on the first one. So I'm going to fold this one back. And then we're going to make some room for our utensils. That just slides right under that first fold. So you got 1, 2 folds. And then we're going to pop our napkin inside.
Our menu.
What am I saying?
Don't use the menu as a napkin.
Don't use the menu as a napkin.
The glitter is not comfy on your face.
So we're gonna pop the menu inside this napkin, and now all I have to do is flip it over, fold in one way and the other way, and I've measured and made my design to fit this napkin in particular. So we know it fits right, and there we have it.
Oh, my OCD is so happy right now. It's
Perfect
unbelievable.
fold.
Joe and
Look at
Anna,
this.
we have a question in the chat.
Absolutely.
How, now that there's a transfer on that napkin, what's the best way to wash it?
Oh, you can wash it like normal.
Mhm.
So and again, it's very, very important to make sure that you use the correct application settings. I have to state this, that if it is something that you are going to wash, you definitely want to make sure you follow the application instructions that come on the tech sheet that you get with your roll at Michael's. So now that I know that I've applied it for the correct temperature, the correct duration, I can throw this in the wash with all my other stuff and wash it like you would normally wash anything.
Mhm.
Just make sure you aren't washing with bleach. Avoid using any kind of off-the-wall detergents. Just use standard detergents you would get and wash in either warm or cold water. You can definitely throw it in the dryer if you'd like. If you want to hang dry it, you have that option for longevity if you'd like, but you can throw it in the dryer. But that's a great question.
Mhm. All right, so we have our napkin, we have a menu, we have name tags, but we don't have anything to put the name tags on.
All right, so now we're going into another world. We just did a lot with heat transfer vinyl. Now we're gonna mix in a little bit of the Siser Easy PSV. So the Easy PSV is our pressure sensitive vinyl. So this is no longer heat transfer vinyl. It's all about kind of peel and stick type materials. So
Mhm.
what are we creating?
So we're going to make little pumpkins that are going to hold our name tags, and we're going to use the PSV. And these, I do have some scraps. They're all scraps that I had laying around. And we're going to be putting them on these mason jar lids. And these mason jar lids are about 1/2 inch by 9 inches. It's actually the excess around your Cricut mat that your machine can't cut. So I know you all have this size of scrap left for sure. So I did cut some on the silhouette, again, using our recommended settings. We've got hollyberry, and all these are sold at Michael's. We have brick red, we have alligator green, and then I have some scraps here that we can actually cut by hand instead. And we can use the lines on the back. All of the PSV has, oh, there we go, has this grid on the back, which is super nice for lining things up and making sure it's the right size. So I just
And
need,
those are 1 inch square inches.
yes, yep. So all we have to do is cut carefully down the middle. So I'm gonna cut a couple of these using that grid line. So I need 1/2 inch. We're gonna cut right down the center here and make sure they're all lined up. That's about good. And I think I'm gonna do, let's do 3 orange.
So we're mixing flat options.
Mhm.
We have glitter options.
Yes, we do. And Michael's does have all the matte colors and then some regular. And then, yeah, all the glitter,
Okay.
all the glitter that we carry, though
All
Michael's
the
carries
glitter.
everyone.
And these are all permanent adhesive easy PSV. So
Yeah.
once you stick them, they will hang out for a while.
Yeah, and this golden is actually not part of the glitter line, it's part of the regular, but it does have that fun
Flashy
golden
finish.
shine, yes.
Kind of matches the EasyWeed we used on the menu.
Yeah, it actually does perfectly, I think. 2 golden. Then we'll get 2, I believe it's ketchup is this color.
Yep.
There we go. Get 2 of those, and then all we're gonna do is peel and stick right onto these mason jar lids. 1 more. This you can help me with.
Applying.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Got those. And we'll just go to town. There's about for this project, it's best to have about 13, but you can do it with 12. Most packs of mason jars come in 12. So if you're using those for something else, you can always pull those off. And these will come off not super easily, but you could reuse these mason jars if you didn't want your mason jar lids to have all of these colors on them, but I think they're kind of cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Why not?
Maybe you're,
Organize it for something.
yeah, if you're making sauces or jams, you can color coordinate. So you can also buy these on Amazon. I got just the lids. I think I'm gonna figure out something to do with the little middle part as well. We will see.
I'm struggling.
Oh yeah, a little harder.
It's harder when you don't have an edge to peel from.
Right, so when you cut it on a vinyl cutter, obviously you have a little bit of gap. I could have put these a little closer together to conserve on the PSV, but way easier to peel those this way.
And again, with it being permanent adhesive, you definitely want to try to avoid from it like kind of sticking to itself.
Right, oh my gosh.
Because it will be impossible to peel it off.
Alright. But super easy project, as you can see.
I think the coolest is the result. So
Oh, there we go, yes.
that's the best part of seeing this come to life.
Yeah, and you could use these for something other, obviously, than a placeholder for your table. You could use them just for decorations on table or a mantle or your office desk.
And, yeah, for your desk. And this is definitely a project you can get the whole family to do, obviously. Coming up with their own creative ways of how they want to do something like this. Again, we're talking more like Thanksgiving themed right now, but this is certainly something you can plan for future holidays or future events of craft projects you can do together.
Oh, yeah.
And this is all quite kid friendly outside
Yeah.
of playing with a heat press, which is certainly adult supervision. But yeah, just cutting with scissors,
Yeah,
doing something
absolutely.
like this.
Super easy for kids to do. Probably use it as a napkin ring too. That's a whole other game there. But all right, got 3 more. Let's see. Let's see, is there any other questions while we're
Any questions? Yeah, sorry, we're just doing quick application. Anything coming through from Facebook questions?
No questions. A couple shout outs. We have Linda tuning in from Lancaster, California,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, who's watching?
and Sharon and Gabriella. And then
Hi,
here,
everyone. Thank you.
here on Zoom, we have Deborah tuning in from Palm Harbor, Florida.
yeah. I think I
It's
saw
warm down there, I bet.
oh my gosh. I saw someone has a dog named Caesar, like the Caesar salad.
Oh, really?
So that's very appropriate.
Nice.
I love that.
That's
There we
another
go.
one.
Krista.
Caesar.
Great name.
Nice name.
Great name. All right.
All
So
right, so this is the final one.
while Joe's finishing that up. So what I have here is a little bit of twine by Ashland, which you can find at Michael's. I just kind of guessed on the length because what I'm going to end up doing is lining all of these little mason jar lids up on here to create my pumpkin. So I'm just going to go in order, and you want to make sure you're putting them all the same direction. So they will fit right into each other. Just going to do this randomly, making sure there's not, I mean, I guess you could put the same color next to one another, but
Why not make it different?
do it a little
Do
different.
it a little different.
And each one, obviously, you could do the same colors, but organize them a little differently, and they'll look like a totally different project.
But that's where I think it's really unique to do with other people because they can do their own
Oh,
spin
yeah.
on it and, you know, pick their own color scheme to it.
A lot of reds there. Let's
A lot
switch
of
it out
reds.
for orange. Orange, gold, brick red. Oops, same way. All right, so I got them all on here. Last time I did this, I dropped them all and they went all over the floor. So all we're gonna do is tie a little knot, decently tight so they kind of stay in place. Just gonna make a knot here. Leave it a little loose because I'm gonna put a stem in the middle. And there we have it. So I'm just gonna make sure they all line up together. Get this one to go out. There we go. Got a
So,
little pumpkin.
little pumpkin, all decorated with cut pieces of Easy PSV, just on the mason jar lids.
Mhm.
But of course, we have to add one of the last pieces, which is obviously the stem,
The
which
stem.
is created out of,
This floral wire that you can also get at Michael's. They have a couple different colors. So all I did here was cut into like little, I don't know, 3-inch strips. I did like 4 or 5 of them. Cut one more to wrap around the outside. And then I just
which was needed to be cut with these
Wire
wire
cutters,
cutters you see here,
yes.
because it is still wrapped around some wires. So you do want to
Yes.
use some wire cutters for that.
so
But there you go. There you
pop
have
that
it.
right in the middle.
Just kind of have that set up in the middle, which is obviously then where we bring in our name tags.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna cut another little tiny piece of this twine. I have twine all over the place all the time because I use it for everything. So we'll do Joe's. I'm gonna put this right through the loop, little hole there. If I can get this to not fray. Loop it back through. You got 2 little ties to then tie onto your pumpkin. And we have a place name card.
That place name card.
All right. And there we go.
Perfect.
How's that
What do
look,
you guys think
Trev?
of that? Leave
Wonder if
some
I can pick it
feedback.
up.
Let us know what you think of this little quick project we did. And
Should
what
we
else? What do
Put
we-
it all together?
Yeah, I think it's time to put it all together, right?
All right.
So I also just wanted to showcase the charging plate too. We already did it. This was for a project we just got done doing. Might be difficult to see from here, but we did decorate the outside with some more Easy PSV. We used glitter and our permanent which I know is more gold of a theme.
Tone
which,
on tone.
definitely shows that. So yes, we used, this is our glitter Easy PSV and some of our permanent matte on here. Now, this is also very important, a
Mhm.
question that we get all the time. Putting Easy PSV onto plates, is it recommended? No, not for things that you're going to be eating on. This is a decorative charging plate, so this is not going to be used for eating. So it is very careful to know that you don't want to put it on the plate that you're going to be eating on or throwing in the microwave or whatever it is, or applying a lot of heat. So again, this is purely decorative. So this is what we recommend, but obviously keeping the gold theme. So this is our little charging plate. Now this is going to be our actual plate, which is just a plate,
Your
nothing
dinner plate,
super
nothing
special
fancy.
there. All right, where do we piece it next? Do we do
All
the
right.
menu or what goes next?
I'm gonna pop this on here because it's take up the most room. I guess I can turn
Okay.
it towards you, Trout. So now we know where Joe's going to sit at the table,
Name tag.
and then pop the menu right
Got
on
the
there.
Menu on there, custom napkin, custom thing to do.
And then we're gonna pop the silverware in
And we
there.
got silverware.
So
which
all
is
the
also silverware you got at Michael's.
yes, I did, and all the folds of these napkins that we made earlier, the silverware sits nicely in there. I might actually do this for my own table this year.
I'm kind of jealous at this setup. I think it's quite alluring. I would want to sit there.
All right.
So that is the full setup for that. This was just a quick idea of something. Again, you can use heat transfer vinyl for all these other decorative options you did. Again, going outside of the box, using it on cardstock to do custom menus. I did want to show you what I did in the last class, which was actually using it to do custom holiday cards, which all this is the Siser Glitter HTV. We did Siser Strip Flock Pro and our holographic and our sparkle on this one. Again, all heat transfer vinyl. And then we did EasyWeed electric and sparkle and metal onto this one. And then we even sealed the card with Siser Twinkle HTV, all heat transfer vinyl, and did a little seal on the envelope of the card itself. So using heat transfer vinyl on cardstock, it is a very unique way of adding some dimension to that project you're working on. So this is a good look at some ideas. Very, very simple, easy to do, very unique, one of a kind projects you could be doing with again, the whole family, for your friends, whomever. Obviously, this placemat setting is another option that you can do for this season, for this holiday. What else?
What else have we
Oh.
done?
And then, of course, the decorative pumpkin. I always like showing this off. But this was actually done with our heat transfer vinyl with cut pieces of fleece on it as well. And this was all hot glue gunned onto this
Your
pumpkin.
favorite.
My favorite. But the uniqueness of adding this dimension to the fleece and decorating this pumpkin, which was just a blank pumpkin, does really make your decorations pop, as you can really see there. That is the Siser EasyWeed electric on individually cut pieces of fleece that, again, were all layered on there and hot glue gunned onto the pumpkin. So, I mean, the options of decorative things for you to do, especially around this time of the year. If you're watching this later, it's good ideas for you to get started for next year's projects. So yeah, is there any questions on what we have been talking about? I know it's a lot of stuff. I hope you guys have been enjoying what we're showing you right now. Please, if you got questions, we'd love to answer them now while we're on.
Madeline in chat says, OMG, that mason jar pumpkin is so cute and clever, making that ASAP.
There's still time. You
Yeah.
can totally make it for your Thanksgiving table next week.
I mean, you saw how fast it was to make. It did not take much. We didn't have much prepped, right?
Yeah, not
that
at
was
all.
done here
Not at
on the live. So very, very quick. There's a lot of ways you can utilize, again, your scrap pieces. So make sure whenever you're using Siser HTV or our Easy PSV, if you got little pieces that you're like, that's just garbage, save your scraps because they can be used for little things like this, which obviously you want to give out as a gift, as a project, and all sorts of fun stuff.
Do we have any questions on Facebook?
Yeah, were there any questions on Facebook?
No questions on Facebook. We had a couple people tuning in from Georgia and Brazil and Pennsylvania.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all so much. Yes, we just want to give you another fun project for you to get done sooner than later, right? If you're watching this live, you know that Thanksgiving is next week here. So hopefully you can get some of these projects ready. We have more to talk about with all of December coming for the end of the year. We have more projects coming up. So be on the lookout for that. We definitely want to see what you're doing. So if you do, feel free to share it over on our social medias. Use the hashtag Make It With Michaels. We have all sorts of fun stuff to show on our pages as well. We have our YouTube channel. If you have any questions on any of the Siser product, we're here to help you. As you saw, everything we showed in the video today is available at Michaels. So feel free to contact them if you have questions on where to get any of this stuff. Thank you all so much. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. And we will talk to you all very, very soon.
Very soon, next week.
Next
2 weeks, couple weeks.
Yep.
Something's
couple
coming
weeks.
up.
Thank you all.